This is Goku-san DBZ and welcome back for a new top 10 list. It's the end of 2019 and it's time to count down lists I've been working on for a little while off and on. I've compiled together, for me personally, ranks have changed some over time, top 10 favorite comic book movies from 2010 to 2019. Some ranks have changed over time, I will say, some positions. Also, there's a couple of movies on this list, honorable mentions, and lists that I don't have because they're not out physical yet. But what I do have physical, I will show. First up, of honorable mentions, guilty pleasure movie, of course. First honorable mention, Suicide Squad. Next up, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, it's another guilty pleasure movie. I really enjoyed it personally. I don't get all the hate Amazing Spider-Man 2 gets. Also honorable mentions, Iron Man 3, which I feel is underrated. Captain America, The Winter Soldier. Thor Ragnarok. Spider-Man Homecoming. Deadpool. Wonder Woman. Shazam. And last honorable mention, which I don't have physical, I have a digital, Aquaman. So with that said, now let's get on to top 10. Some of these might be controversial opinions, I will say. And by the way, Avengers Endgame / Infinity War is not on the list, just so you know. I feel Endgame is easily, right now, probably the most overrated MCU movie by far, in my opinion. I didn't like it as much as Infinity War, but with that said, over time I feel some films I've come to enjoy more than I did previously. Coming at number 10 for me personally is Avengers Age of Ultron, which is actually my favorite of all the Avenger films, hands down. For a time there, last year and stuff, I felt Avengers Infinity War was my favorite, but as time progressed, rewatching again a few times Infinity War and Age of Ultron, I feel Age of Ultron has aged better already. Personally, I think pacing-wise, pacing personally is better in Age of Ultron than, obviously, Infinity War. And I feel the same about Endgame, and I feel the first Avengers is overrated personally as well. But I feel this is criminally underrated, the most underrated of all the Avenger movies. And I love Ultron, always have. So yeah, number 10 favorite comic book film of 2010's, Age of Ultron. Coming at number 9, I feel is also somewhat overly hated or underrated personally. I like it more than a lot of people. Coming at number 9, The Dark Knight Rises. I personally have really enjoyed this movie more than a lot of people. Just like I feel though The Dark Knight is overrated pretty big time. But that's my opinion. To each their own. But yeah, coming at number 9 is The Dark Knight Rises. I really enjoyed it. And I hope you enjoyed the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 music I chose in the background. Coming in at number 8, for me personally, is X-Men Days of Future Past, which is easily one of my favorite X-Men films. Deadpool's good, don't get me wrong. I feel like a little overrated. Days of Future Past definitely deserves, I feel, the amount of credit it gets. I just thoroughly have always enjoyed X-Men Days of Future Past, frankly. And I think the movie has aged pretty well for the most part. It's definitely in quality better than many of the MCU movies, in my opinion. But yeah, coming in number 8, Days of Future Past. Coming in at number 7 is, yes, another MCU movie. coming in number 7, Captain America, Civil War. Yeah, I like Civil War more than any of the Avenger films. I prefer the more, like, suspense and spy elements in Civil War, very much so. I mean, that was one of the strengths to Winter Soldier, but personally, I just prefer the overall amount of elements combined in Civil War more than Winter Soldier, personally. Now, I know plenty of people that will defend Winter Soldier to the death, but for me, I just like Civil War more overall, and I like the chemistry between Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans in the film. Coming in at number 6 is the tie on this list, because it's come now, number 6 slot has come down to between my two favorite Spider-Man movies. Also, of course, wearing a Spider-Man shirt. Coming at number 6 favorite comic book film of the decade, tied between The Amazing Spider-Man, of course, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The more times I watch Into the Spider-Verse, the more I like it, but this film, still, I prefer overall the live-action Spider-Man. I like the darker tone to it, personally. I know some people were turned off to also the more hipster style to Andrew Garfield take, but I felt he definitely had the smart-ass attitude necessary for Peter Parker. Plus, I loved actually the take, of course, overall way they did Miles Morales. Plus, the fact also has Spider-Gwen in it makes it also a little bit of a win-win. Plus, Nicolas Cage doing the voice of Spider-Man, Lenora or whatever, Nora. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, coming at number 6 is the only tie on the list. Coming at number 5 is a film I feel also does not get enough respect that it deserves. Coming at number 5, Doctor Strange. And anybody knows my list of the MCU films, this is placed in like probably my top 3 or so favorite MCU movies. Definitely of standalones, it's my number 2 favorite strictly standalone only around one character. And I love the whole element of the astral plane and everything. The fact that they use very much the same art style and elements that remind me very much of Christopher Nolan Inception, which is a good thing because I love Inception. But I love the art style. I love the fact, of course, they used the director of Sinister, one of my favorite horror films of the past decade as well. And Benedict Cumberbatch just kills it as Doctor Strange, in my opinion. Definitely love it. And yeah, there's a reason this came in 5th place. Coming in 4th place, Logan. My second favorite X-Men film of the X-Men franchise as a whole. Definitely a great film, and I love the fact that it uses a Western whole style about it. Plus, I love the fact that this also includes an alternate version that you can watch in black and white, which is also really cool. But personally, I love Logan, and yeah, it was an easy pick to be my 4th favorite comic book film of the decade. Coming in at number 3 is my number 1 favorite X-Men film. Of course, that being X-Men First Class. Easily my 3rd favorite comic book film of the decade. Without a shadow of a doubt, love this film. I've loved it pretty much since the first time I ever watched it. Not to mention, it didn't hurt the fact Kevin Bacon was awesome as the main villain. Plus, I love the side villain character, Azazel, was also pretty cool and kick-ass. But overall, and Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy killed in this movie, in my personal opinion. And this movie also, Jennifer Lawrence actually puts in a good performance as Mystique. Coming in at number 2, I don't have a physical because it's not out physical yet, still in theaters. Yeah, Number 2 favorite comic book film of the decade goes to Joker. Seen the movie 3 times in theater, love it, and overall, of course, I give a grading, I give an A+. Yeah, it was pretty easy. After the first time of seeing Joker, it would have probably just been at the very beginning, possibly, of my top 10 list. After seeing a second time, probably been around like 7th place or so, or 6th place. By the third time seeing it, yeah, it's 2nd place for me. Every time I've watched it, I've liked it more, and I've noticed more certain elements to the character that Phoenix plays. His interpretation of, I guess you could say, the Joker. Though it's not really a traditional comic book Joker, and you can tell it was very much influenced by Martin Scorsese, and of course films like Taxi Driver, obviously. Coming at number 1, however, shouldn't be a surprise. It's my favorite MCU movie, so it really shouldn't be a surprise at all. Number 1 favorite comic book film of the decade, Guardians of the Galaxy. Or Guardians of the Galaxy. But anyways, yeah. Guardians comes in at number 1. Favorite comic book film, favorite MCU movie, period. But with that said, leave a comment below. Tell me, in your opinion, what are your personal favorite comic book films from 2010 to 2019 for the decade of the 2010s? But leave a comment below, let me know, and I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. And as I said, hope you enjoy the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 music.